So I'm sleepy, right? I've been using Streamlabs for a little while now, and I keep forgetting to turn on the record. Keep doing it. I just had a pretty good chat with myself in the camera, and I lost it. So you know what? I'm going to split up what I just talked about into 3 videos. 3! That's how intense it was. That's fine. You know, sometimes you forget to hit the record button. That's okay. It's fine. I'm not even mad, you know? I got my it's not actually, it's tea, but my coffee. And I'm feeling pretty good. I got my fan replaced. Tomorrow I'll be replacing the power supply, and I'm going to switch out the Arctic Silver because I think my CPU needs new Arctic Silver. It's running too hot. And yeah, so I think the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to make it quick because I just wasted quite a bit of time. But it's the idea of the black box. And in the context of when somebody explains to you how something works, and so they say, generally when somebody's explaining to you a mechanism, some sort of system, they are talking about it in the context that this system will work in the context of the world at large, right? So imagine somebody has a black box. You're not allowed to look in it. You don't know how it works. And this is sort of metaphorical. So the idea is that the reason you can't look in it is because you lack the knowledge of how this system works. For you, it could just be a black box and it would be just as much information as what you actually possess. Like if you asked me how the stock market actually works, I have no idea. So the idea is that you have this black box. Now somebody comes up to you and they claim this black box will make anything you pointed at red or some specific color. Now, if you turn on that black box and that object is any color but the color that was claimed, it doesn't work. And you don't need to know how it works to know that it doesn't work. And this is important because I think when ideas are presented, they need to be presented with caveats. When people say we need to do X to make Y happen, they need to specifically explain what the hurdles for that working are. So if you say this will make anything it points at red, but it won't work in any place with humidity over 50%, you want to explain that. You want to explain before you make the promise or before you provide the system that here are the caveats to make it work. And I think a lot of conversations lose that. It's that these systems get presented, be it development, jobs, government, religion, anything, right? Psychology, philosophy, whatever, is that they present to you this system and they say X will lead to Y. But they don't say only if these pillars of support exist along the way. If any of them are removed, this whole bridge will collapse. Some people will understand that that is true, that there are pillars that cannot be removed, that if you starve the beast, it will no longer protect you from vermin, right? But I don't think that that is something that we naturally realize, that we naturally see. It's because often, especially when I speak with people my age, but more commonly older than me, which, well, as the years pass, that's going to become less and less common. Soon it will be me. But I've noticed that they seem to, whenever they're, and it usually has to do, it's sort of the sports thing, you know, red versus blue, that kind of deal, Halo, right? Is that if something you don't like doesn't work, then it's clearly because it was stupid or ineffectual or something like that, and just totally ignoring why it failed. And I think part of the reason that works, part of the reason people are so willing and happy to sort of tear things apart, is because the people, whoever it be, and again, I'm not strictly talking about politics here, this is something that happens in my day-to-day life, but what happens is when ideas are presented for solving a problem, because you want it to happen, you don't anyone who presents an idea, they really want that idea to succeed. They want everyone to join in on that idea. And so you can't, if you want people to join your club or to bandy up behind your idea, you have to act like it is infallible. That we're not infallible. There's a word I'm looking for, but my brain, I'm so tired. You're presenting it as if it's this hover track, that if the pillars that it needs to survive were removed, it would just stay there. And that's just not the case. We don't have that capacity. But you have to basically lie in order to get people to support your ideas or to move forward with you. And that's, I mean, you see it everywhere, right? Anyone trying to go into a position of leadership or trying to get something pushed through with their company, or even trying to get investors or people, well, I guess still that would be investors for the stock market, but you get my idea. People trying to increase valuation in what they've created. Or, No Man's Sky, right? Look at that. These games where and I'm sure you could argue there maybe was some malice there, but these products where the desire to get those sky-high sales and support, it's so all-encompassing that the willingness to admit there are some things that could be better, or that there are some flaws that need to be addressed, or that there are some outside influences that could bring the whole thing crashing down. It's that the willingness to say those things is basically nil. And so I think that's sort of the problem with the black box, is that when it is explained, like if you were to tell me, and I think I mentioned it in this recording, but I always get, whenever I forget to record, I get them mixed up. But if you tell me that it only makes it, red and 50% humidity, then if it doesn't work, we check the humidity, we realize, oh crap, it's 65, right? And it's like, oh, that's why it didn't work. We'll try it again with the right humidity. We will try this system with the right supports, the right, yeah, that's actually the word I was looking for. Sometimes you don't trust yourself, but it ends up being the right word. The right support. You want to make sure that the infrastructure to nurture this thing exists. And I think people need to be more honest when they're presenting things that need to be nurtured, that they need to be nurtured, so that if somebody comes along and just basically takes it off at the knees, you'll know, you'll see it, and you'll go, hey, we said that thing needed knees. Why did you can't do that. Because if you don't do that, then when that kneeless beast fails, people who wanted it to fail will be like, you said it would work, it didn't work. But, if you set expectations and set, not boundaries, I wonder what I'd be thinking. If you basically set up a series of keys that are all required for the door to stay unlocked, then at any point, if any of the keys are removed, everyone can immediately raise their hands and say, whoa, hey, we can't get into that door anymore. This is done. Like, you got to bring that key back. This doesn't work without that key. And I think that's crucial. And that's really, there's two more topics I'll talk about another time, because I totally got myself off the knees. But, yeah, it's not, this may sound like sort of a veiled, passive-aggressive conversation about something I've been experiencing, like today or something. It's not actually the case. It's more just, you have these conversations, and sadly for me, some of them are with family, and that's why I don't talk about anything complex with family anymore. But it's just like the older you get, the more willing you are to ignore the fact that somebody's set off dynamite under the train tracks, and the more you're just like, trains don't work, look at that one derailed. It bums me out a little bit. It is what it is. Yeah. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'll have my computer closer and closer to actually being where I want it to be. I'm actually thinking about even making a temporary enclosure whenever I'm doing recording, so that it muffles the sound a bit. Because even having it under the desk won't help. And yeah, so we'll see that. I hope if you're watching, thanks for watching. I hope your day's going well. Hope you're staying cool. And dry, if you feel like being dry.